James Thomas, I'm here today with Samuel Everett, a managing member of Archway Wealth Management. How are you today, Samuel?
Oh, I'm doing great. I like to tell people I'm dancing in my chair over here. We're having a good time. Thanks for
Great.
having me on.
I appreciate it because we're talking about financial wellness. So, people are faced with many financial difficulties. What's one simple financial habit people can start today that actually makes a difference when they are first starting out?
That's a great question and something we get faced with a lot over here. Is mostly it's knowing where your money's going. It's not necessarily about perfection, but just being intentional about where that's going, understanding your current cash flow, and better decisions tend to follow naturally when you know where your money's going. Uh,
What's the,
I've learned a I've
no, go
learned a
ahead,
lot over the
please.
years on this one. It's just it's not where you start, but
Mhm.
when you start that makes all the difference in the world. And I know I just started off. I'm just out of school. I have an entry level job, entry level income. I probably have a roommate that I want to move out at some point. I have my parents' garage couch in my living room, and I know how much I need when I retire, but I'm 22. That seems like an unattainable number. So starting small and making good habits early on makes all the difference in the world. So if you have an employer retirement plan like a 401(k) and they're matching that amount, make sure we're putting in at least enough to take advantage of that matching amount. And if you can put an incremental increase on there, that makes a huge difference to save those dollars early on for 65 and 95-year-old version of you.
I wish I knew you when I was 22. So, what's the biggest financial mistake you see people making right now?
Uh, This one seems to happen a lot. Is the biggest mistake that I see people make is making long-term decisions based on short-term headlines or issues in life. We're an emotional species. I think we know this. And when the markets get noisy, we have a tendency to freeze and sometimes overreact. And the truth is, most financial success comes from having a plan that's built for your life, sticking to that plan, and especially when it gets uncomfortable. So one of the things I like to do is in early meetings with clients is talk about short-term, intermediate, and long-term goals. And then down the road, when you're faced with this overwhelming decision, you're clouded with all these emotions and you're not quite sure what to do. I like to go back, re-review those goals, recalibrate based on the new information that's coming to light here. And then that massive decision or life event that's coming up seems a bit more manageable when you put it into perspective. And then simply ask yourself, does this fit into my 5, 15, 30-year goals in my life plan? Does it bring me closer? Does it bring me further away? And it starts to make things a whole lot easier when you have that long-term viewpoint of what you're trying to achieve. And just simply put, let's not make permanent solutions to what could be temporary problems in your life.
Speaking of which, markets have been volatile. What's your advice for the viewers feeling anxious right now? And I'm one of those people.
Yeah, that's actually a question I would get pretty much daily over here. Uh, so anxiety, I feel like comes from the uncertainty, not necessarily the volatility itself. But I say it during almost every meeting, the stock market can drop 20% at any point, and it periodically does. We're not going to know when. Nobody rings the bell at the absolute top. Nobody rings the bell at the absolute bottom. But if we know there's going to be volatility in the world, we can build a plan for that, around that, and then have conversations around when volatility happens. Here's the plan and the strategy that we want to execute for you. Uh, so another thing that we like to do is streamline income sources, build cash flow strategies, and it helps seemingly alleviate if we have a 3 year or a 5 year cash flow strategy for you and the market drops 20 or 30% in the short term. Well, I don't have to change my lifestyle. So helping people live in their current lifestyle based on alleviating the stress in the short term and making sure one of the other things I like to do is align each dollar with its destiny. So if you're going to spend that dollar in the next 6 months, we need to earmark that accordingly. That needs to be some dry powder type allocation here. But also, I want to help you celebrate your 100th birthday and make sure there's a centennial birthday budget out there too. So maybe your 15 and 30-year money needs to be earmarked accordingly and have that long-term strategy out there for you too.
Now, a lot of people feel like they're doing okay financially on their own. And I've gotten this far on my own. When should someone consider getting professional advice?
I like that one, and it's actually different for I think everybody. Because realistically, when money starts to feel more complicated than empowering, maybe your income's grown, taxes feel confusing, the decisions carry a bigger consequence. That's often when more customized advice adds the most value. Not because something's wrong necessarily, but that seems to be when I get the most phone calls. Is something happened? I lost my job. I lost a partner or a family member. My job was just moved to a different state. These are really big things that are happening in life here, and that seems to be when I get the most phone calls. But I found one of the things that we do a really good job at over here is we have the luxury of repetitions. We've helped a few hundred people through these sorts of retirement issues and life issues. So just having a professional who can help you avoid some potholes makes a lot of sense. So, does that answer the question so far?
Yeah, that answers the question. You mentioned potholes. So here's a question for you. How do you measure success for your clients?
Well, I really like this one. So, my shortest answer is success. I think when your money becomes quieter in someone's life, when you feel confident making decisions, you're sleeping better at night in volatile markets, when the market's swinging, I'm not worried about it. It's in the long-term strategy, and that's I think the real success here is when you look at your investment accounts and instead of seeing a dollar amount, you see a goal coming to life. Maybe you're looking at that account and you say, I can take my grandkids on this vacation that I've been dreaming about forever. I want to take my spouse to Milan and I don't have to change any of that. The market's doing things, that's fine. There's somebody at the helm who's taking care of me. And I think one of the weird secrets that we've seen over here is most of the clients I serve, they're not looking to be filthy rich. They just want to live in their current lifestyle and have a reasonable chance at leaving a legacy for their kids.
Now, you mentioned Milan, and the Olympics are going on right now. So I like that. I like that. Now, what's your biggest piece of advice for viewers at home?
You don't have to have everything figured out, but a general direction really goes a long way here. So financial progress comes from a thoughtful plan, not necessarily having a perfect plan. Uh, Asking for guidance sooner rather than later makes a meaningful difference. I think I shared with you earlier at Archway Wealth Management, my personal philosophy is consistency and persistency over time is how we win the strategy.
Last but not least, where should our viewers go to get more information?
Well, I'm glad you asked that as well. uh, www.archwaywealthstl.com. Uh, we're right here in Kirkwood, and on the website, you can click in on a inquiry on there that'll come directly to my email. And if you have thoughts, ideas, questions, concerns, you give me a call, and we'll put something on the books for you.
I've been speaking with Samuel Everett, CFP, Managing Member, Archway Wealth Management. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.